XRP holders, it's official. We can finally say goodbye. Well, sort of. You'll understand. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. Let's get straight into it. So we're going to start out with the Clarity Act, but we'll get to the Fed decision on interest rates, and we'll get to how it is affecting XRP. Don't worry about it. Right now, let's talk about the Clarity Act. Senator Tills pushes to advance Clarity Act. Again, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I think this is the most important thing right now for XRP, for the crypto market. So Senator Tills says he will ask leadership to schedule a markup for the Clarity Act when lawmakers return, citing a lot of progress on the bill. He added bank concerns over stablecoin yield have largely been addressed, with the draft language expected 4 to 5 days before the markup. And Eleanor tells us new following the Senator Till's comments and a sense of renewed optimism from industry and Senate banking staff that the Clarity Act markup is within striking distance, efforts are now ramping up to tie up remaining loose ends. With the yield issue largely resolved, per Tills, attention is shifting towards ethics and DeFi, specifically the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act and Section 1960 provisions. Senator Loomis, who has been leading on this issue, had this to say on the status of those negotiations. We've made significant progress on safeguards for non-controlling developers with respect to money transmitting laws, and I hope to have more soon. We talked about it this morning. If you watched that video, ethics language is being actively negotiated, and those provisions are more likely to be added after the bill reaches the Senate floor, per sources familiar with the process. So this is giving optimism about the Clarity Act. The crypto market is not really reacting to it in a positive way. I'll show you in just a second. It's more looking at what's happening right now, and the FOMC and what the Fed just had to say, and what the president had to say regarding the negotiations with Iran. But this is a very good step forward for the crypto market. Now, as always, I just want to remind you that this video is for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. If you were wondering what that teasing that OKX was doing to us for a few days already, so as expected, new listing RLUSD, Ripple USD is a dollar-backed stablecoin designed for high standard compliance, now integrated into their unified order book for deep liquidity across 280 pairs. RLUSD is now available on OKX in the United States of America. So again, this was something that we anticipated that was what they were teasing us about for multiple, I think it's already a week that they were tweeting about XRP and, tweeting with Ripple symbol and all kinds of things like that. So now we got confirmation that is what's happening. Breaking, Iran state media warns of unprecedented military action if U.S. seizure of Iran-linked vessels continues. Last night, the Wall Street Journal reported that President Trump instructed his aides to prepare for an extended blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Brent crude oil is nearing $114 per barrel, and crude oil is at about 106. So you can see it is up significantly. Today, we're just a few days ago, we were under 100. We even dropped all the way down to 79, and we're back up to where we were around April 13th and even April 7th when we got the news about ceasefire. We were about the same region as we were. So the market is looking at the situation right now and is taking into consideration that the ceasefire is very delicate to a collapse and that the strait is being blockaded. So even the Iranian oil that was leaving, right, mostly to Asia, is now being blocked, and that is not happening as well. So again, this is putting more pressure on the global markets. And President Trump said that he rejected Iran's proposal to open the strait, and the U.S. has prepared a plan for a short and powerful wave of strikes, according to Axios. These details include Trump said he will keep Iran under a naval blockade until they agree to a nuclear deal. After the strikes, which would likely include infrastructure targets, the U.S. would press Iran to negotiate again. Trump sees continuing the blockade as a primary source of leverage. Trump says that Iran's oil storage and pipelines are getting close to exploding because Iran can't export oil due to the blockade. And that is, of course, affecting the oil prices. So again, this is another thing that is putting downward pressure onto the crypto markets. If we go and we look right now, you can see that the Stock market is kind of mixed today. We have the S&P 500 is actually down, but the Nasdaq is up. And we have, because we have Amazon and others that are up today. So that's why we're seeing it in the green, the Nasdaq. Just looking, where's the VIX? Where did the VIX go? Here it is. It's up 5% today, but we're still under 20. So if you remember, 20 is still pretty bullish. Anything under 20 is considered bullish. We were just at 30, even 35 before the ceasefire news came out. So this will be very interesting to see how it plays out. Now let's go to what the Fed chairman just said. Before that, I just want to remind you that I will never contact you on social media asking you to sign up to anything, to send me anything. Those are scammers, those imposters. I will never DM you. I will never ask you for a friend request. Please be very careful out there. Okay, so this is the summary of the Fed Powell statement. No surprise there, by the way. He decided to keep interest rates where they are. So no reduction, no adding of interest rate there. But this is what he had to say. So near-term U.S. inflation expectations have risen. The Fed sees the U.S. PCE inflation at 3.5% in March of 2026. Higher energy prices will push up near-term inflation. Middle East situation is contributing to uncertainty. Current Fed policy stance is appropriate. Powell, and this is, we'll get to this in just a second. Okay, so what is happening right now is, according to the probabilities, it's about a 40% chance that we'll have any more reductions, according to what's happening now in 2026. Even though we got a confirmation today, basically, Senate Banking Committee just voted 13-11 to advance Kevin Warsh as the next Federal Reserve Chair. And it now goes to the full Senate confirmation. Powell term as Fed chairman ends on the 15th. If confirmed, Warsh could be running the Fed by June meeting. This would be the first change in Fed leadership in over 8 years. Warsh told the Senate he believes there is room to cut interest rates thanks to productivity gains from AI. But if inflation is really bad, the question is, will he reduce interest rates, or will he continue with the same line as the Fed has been for the past few years, that you don't reduce interest rates when inflation is high, because if you do that, you risk the possibility of even more inflation. Why? Think about it. If you start reducing interest rates, let's say from 3.5 to 1, they do it aggressively over the next year or so, right? And it gets down to 1%, not that bad. People are going to start taking out loans. They're going to start taking out, buying new cars, buying new houses. They're going to start maybe even using their credit card even more. And they're going to take out just, maybe basic loans to buy stuff. And so once that starts happening, people feel a little bit more flush, right? And they start buying stuff. Producers and retail are like, why should we reduce prices? Let's raise prices even more. We got lots of sales, right? And so historically, that has caused even more inflation. So the fear is, if you reduce interest rates too fast or too early, inflation will be out of whack. Also, and another component of this, because we haven't talked about this in a while, is unemployment and jobs, right? Usually when you have a recession and you have a situation where you have inflation and you have interest rates that have been risen or that's brought up over a long period of time, they look at jobs as well. Why? Because if people have jobs, then they're going to spend money. If they don't have jobs, they're not going to spend money, and then inflation is going to come down theoretically. So it's a complicated situation. The Fed has done a lot of mistakes. The Fed has been late in many instances, and this is the last time we have the Fed chairman as Jerome Powell. It is confirmed. But, right, I like big butts, and I kind of like Sir Mix-a-Lot says, he did announce that he's going to be staying on as a Fed governor, right? So remember, there's the Fed chairman, and then there's these Fed governors that they also vote on inflation, and then the decision is made. So this Fed Chair Powell announces that he will stay on the Fed board after his term as Fed chair ends on May 15th. Powell says he looked to maintain a low profile, right? And so I asked Grok here, he says, Powell announced that he will remain on the federal board for an undetermined period after his chair ends in May 15th, while planning to maintain the low profile. This breaks from recent precedent, as most prior Fed chairs have left the board entirely upon completing their leadership term. Powell governor's seat runs through January of 2028, allowing him to continue serve under incoming chair Kevin Warsh. The decision impacts board composition by delaying a potential vacancy that the administration could fill, ensuring greater continuity in monetary policy discussions during a period of economic transitions. So this could affect what is happening with the board going forward. And all of this coming out, initially, crypto liked it, right? We saw a little bit of a rise, but then I think when people saw that Fed Chairman Powell is going to stay on as a Fed governor, the market sold off a little bit. And it was interesting because this morning, XRP and Bitcoin went up, and it was up about 1-2%. And then running into the Fed decision, you can see XRP went from 140 all the way down to 134. So we had a pullback here for XRP, about 4% going into the decision, even more sell-off, but that was the whole crypto market moved like this. You can see Ethereum dumped here, everything dumped there. Solana, everything came down. It's not XRP, just XRP, okay? So I'm not really freaking out about this because this is a market, crypto market wide. Stock market, again, is feeling a little bit better. Like I said, there's kind of a mixed bag. S&P 500 is down, but we're not seeing the same kind of sell-off that we saw there. So there might have been a little bit of a manipulation. There was a sell-off, but when that came out, right here, when the information came out, but it bounced back. Crypto, not so much, a little bit. It could be because of, remember, crypto has liquidations. And when you have a sell-off like that and people that were waiting, maybe there was a significant amount of longs or the algos were longs. And once that happened, sell-off, liquidation, and we can even find that, right? And we can see what the liquidations were over the past hour or so. Yeah, you can see big, oh, wow. So there was big liquidations there, both Ethereum, Bitcoin, and even XRP, 4 million. So there was a significant amount of longs that were positioned there, and the algos flushed that out, and the sell-off flushed that out. So that's why we're seeing the market down right now, and there's not enough buying pressure right now in order to bring the market back up. But again, Clarity Act in a week or two could change all of this. So I'm still very optimistic about the crypto market long term. Again, short term, day to day, things can happen. You can always take advantage of this, of course, if you're interested. Our partner, BTCC, will give you the opportunity to do so. And you can sign up using my link. This is an affiliate link. A link is in the description down below, and you can start trading. We've been partnered with BTCC for a long time already. This is where my go-to platform right now. So if you are interested, link is in the description down below, and it helps out the channel. Like I said, it is an affiliate link, so I will get a commission when you decide to use my link. Check it out in the description down below and in the pinned comment. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.